Alright everyone, tonight is the night the UEFA Champions League phase, the first ever season in this competition's new format, gets underway tonight. Now, I've already done a video explaining the differences between this season and last season and how things work with that, but the long and short of it for right now anyway, just in terms of this first match day, is the fact that instead of having 16 group games in the Champions League on Tuesday and Wednesday, we instead have 18 league phase games spread across Tuesday to Thursday. So yeah, bit of a different format in terms of how the games are arranged and everything, but I'm going to pick out 5 matches to look out for here, guys. 5 matches that really caught my eye that I think could be interesting in this first game week, this first match day of the Champions League in 24-25. So let's get into it. So the first one I'm going to highlight is one of the early games on later today. The young boys of Bern, the Swiss side, going up against Aston Villa. Now, before I did some research for this, just with a glance at these sides, I thought that this might be quite a stern test for Aston Villa. Villa, of course, have not been in the Champions League ever since the rebrand of the format. They haven't been at the European top table of competitions since the 1980s. Young Boys, though, are a side that have been in European competition a lot. They've featured in the Champions League quite a few times as well, and they have caused some upsets over the years too, but I don't think they're going to do that today, I'll be honest, because I've had a look at how they've done this season so far. They are currently bottom of the Swiss Super League. They haven't won a game all season. They've drawn 3 and lost 3, and they are absolutely bottom, which is a real shame. I mean, I believe they probably won the Swiss Super League last season, did they not? Yes, they did. They won it by 12 points, a dominant season for them, but this year they are struggling no end. So Villa are having quite a good season. I mean, they've had a perfect record this season, aside from the home loss against Arsenal. There's no disrespect in that at all. So I'm going to go with Villa to win this one. I'm going to go with them to win it relatively comfortably. I'm going to go 3-0 to Aston Villa. They're given the form of the sides at the moment. It's chalk and cheese, really. Next up, we've got one of the 8 o'clock kickoff games, AC Milan against Liverpool. Now, this is a fixture over the years that has caused so much drama. In fact, it's been the Champions League final on 2 occasions, back in 2005 and 2007, and these two sides know each other very well. Milan, of course, are a 7-time European champions. Liverpool, 6-time European champions, 2 of the most successful clubs in the competition's history. Now, Liverpool had a perfect record in the Premier League going into this last game week, but were absolutely shocked by Nottingham Forest. Milan, meanwhile, are not doing too great in Serie A, in fairness. They're mid-table at the moment. They're 10th as things stand. Just the 1 win to their name out of 4 games so far. So how do I think this is going to go? I don't think it'll be too straightforward for Liverpool, but I'm going to go for another away win for a Premier League side. So I'm going to go with Liverpool to win this. Let's say 2-1. I think it'd be quite narrow. Favourite scoreline, you know how we do on here. But it wouldn't surprise me if Milan pulled out a shot tonight. But I'd be surprised. Given the form of the two sides, I'd be very surprised. But you never know. This is the Champions League at the end of the day. And there is no such thing as an easy trip to San Siro. The next match I'm going to highlight is Paris Saint-Germain against Girona. Girona, one of the surprise sides in European competitions last season, playing in, I believe, their first ever European campaign. I mean, definitely their first campaign ever in the Champions League. Of course, a City-owned group, but, you know, take nothing away from them at the end of the day. They absolutely deserve to be here. One of the best sides, one of the most surprising sides in the history of La Liga last season, really. PSG, of course, are juggernauts, both financially and in terms of on the pitch. They have a perfect record in League on this season so far. Girona, meanwhile, have been a bit more inconsistent, you could say, so far. 2 wins, a draw, and 2 losses to their name in La Liga, in 8th in the table. Not a bad start to the season, but not too amazing either. I mean, I'd love Girona to do it, I really would do, but I feel like PSG are just going to have too much. I'm going to go with a 3-0 victory for Les Parisiens in this one. And this is, of course, a match that is on 8 PM UK time on Wednesday. Next up, the 4th game that I'm going to highlight is Manchester City against Inter Milan. This is a repeat of the Champions League final from a few seasons ago. Man City have, of course, started their Premier League campaign absolutely perfectly. 4 wins out of 4. Erling Haaland is in red hot form right now. But what are Inter doing in Serie A? Well, they've had a good start to the season. In fairness, they are unbeaten. They have won 2 and drawn 2. Only Napoli and Udinese ahead of them in the Serie A table. I think this will be a difficult game for Man City. Inter are a good side, but I would back Manchester City to win this one. I'm going to go with a 3-1 victory for the citizens. And the final of the 5 games I'm going to highlight today, I'm going to go with Bologna against Shakhtar Donetsk. Now, of course, Shakhtar Donetsk are a side that's very unique in European competition in that they don't have any real home games, unfortunately, because of the situation in the country at the moment. But despite that, they do cause some upsets. I think they beat Barcelona last year, didn't they, in the group stage? You know, they can really pull out a surprise. They're a very experienced side in the Champions League. Bologna, I think this must be their first ever time in the Champions League. First time for a very long time. One of the real surprise packages of a Serie A last season. But how are they getting on this season? Well, not very well, in all honesty. They are winless so far in Serie A and only just above the relegation zone. They are in 17th place as things stand. Like I said, Shakhtar Donetsk, they're not having the best start to the season, in fairness, over in Ukraine. They've 3 victories and 2 losses to their name in the Ukrainian Premier League. But honestly, I'm going to go with Shakhtar to win this. I think that experience in European competition is really going to help them here. But it wouldn't surprise me if Bologna win. You know, best of luck to them. I hope they do really well. Same with Shakhtar too, a side that I'm always supporting. You know, I always want my hometown Sheffield is twinned with Donetsk over in Ukraine. Very strong mining heritage in both of our cities over the years. So, you know, I always want to see them do well, and I'm going to back them to get the victory here. So I'm going to go with 2-1 to Shakhtar Donetsk. But yeah, there we go, guys. Those are my 5 matches to look out for in the opening Champions League phase match day. An absolute mouthful there, but we got through it in the end. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and of course, let me know your predictions and which games you're going to be looking out for in the Champions League too. I'll probably be doing a bit of a preview for the Europa League and the Conference League as well tomorrow, because those both get underway on Thursday, I believe, unless they've changed the format around for them, because Champions League didn't used to be on a Thursday night, now it is, so it's all changed here in UEFA. So yeah, see you soon for some more content here on thefootballchronicle.com.